All right, three, two, one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have a great joy to have trainer Daria Klipp today in this episode, and we're gonna talk about fitness, about healing properties of fitness and exercise. It's gonna be very interesting conversation, and I'm very excited, looking forward to it.
I'm really excited to be here, and I appreciate you making the time for me. I'm really excited to chat. I'm fidgety, but we'll get through it.
That's right. We were just talking like before we started that that's probably why we are trainers because we cannot sit still.
Cannot sit still at all. It's just, I feel like it's anxiety, but I need to go. Like I just need to keep moving.
Right.
Like I was never diagnosed either with any.
But I don't even like in a way calling it anxiety. It's just the energy that we have.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
It doesn't have to
100%.
have any negative connotations. It's just how we are wired.
Yeah. I mean, I don't constantly think that like anxiety is a bad thing either. It's just like
Normal.
what
It's
we
part of life.
have. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like a lot of people are just like so spend so much energy kind of like denying reality. It's just reality.
It
That's
is.
who we are.
It is true. Yeah, and everyone's different, and some people can sit still for long periods of time and focus on things, and some people need to get up and move, and that's how they focus, and that's all good. We're all different and unique in our own way, and that's what makes me love being with different people all the time.
Yeah, I think for being a trainer, you need to have the energy and you need to like people because
Yes, you
both
do need
both
to.
both are necessary.
Yeah. Well, because I feel like with training, like you really get in depth with a person. Like for me, it's not just like physical training. Like we connect on like emotional levels. Like I have people it's like a therapy, like it's a therapy for their mind, their body, their soul. Like
Right,
I
right.
want them to leave there feeling 100% different than they came in.
Do you go to your clients' homes or they come to you? How does that work?
Both.
Both.
So I have people come to I have a gym in my home. I'll do it at the gym if that's where they want to meet. And then I also do go to their homes. If they're not comfortable, at the gym, in a gym
Right.
setting, like, yeah, I try to make it as comfortable as they can.
I have some clients that go, but most of my clients I go to their homes, and when you're visiting someone in their home and for months after months, sometimes years,
Yeah.
it's obvious you're gonna get close with that person.
Oh, for sure.
And as a matter of fact, actually, a lot of my friends at this moment are my clients.
Exactly. It's like you
Just
develop that friendship with them. Because how can you not? You
right.
get close to somebody like that. You're with them at least 1, 2 times a week, and you have these deep conversations with them while
Right.
you're training them. And I find that that's great when you're like powering through like a workout, but you're also like able to release like emotional things at the same time. I think that's so important. So it's like when they're with me for a few weeks and they're like, oh, people are starting to notice, like asking me questions, like you look different. And I don't think it's necessarily that they're changing their physical appearance yet.
Right.
I think it's like they're emotional to themselves. Like they're like, I feel better inside. I feel better when I come here. I feel better that I've committed to this. And that, like, I love seeing that transformation.
Yeah, there is certainly transformation because it's like people start believing in themselves.
Yeah,
Just the fact they committed to something, it's like they can say, I am committed to a thing.
right?
And a lot of people are not committed to anything. So that is transformation in itself.
Yeah.
I see even like in the group classes, like those people who come there every week after week after week, there's dedication to it.
Yeah. It's a community in the group
It
classes.
is.
I absolutely love my group
And I
classes.
want to actually start with this because
Yeah.
I am extremely inspired by how you approach your group classes. Like you put so much energy into it, enthusiasm. Like one thing, like for me, it's like really you go beyond with like even like so. Look, you teach your class for whatever time it starts to end, and you don't end there. You take your group, you go run with them. So it's really you put your heart in it. I love it. It's very inspiring. I see you're very passionate about it.
Yeah, it's again like it's a community. Like these people dedicate their time to me, so I dedicate my time right back to them. And those things like going for a run, it's also so good for me. Like it's we connect in so many different ways and it pushes people to do things that they're not comfortable with. But it's also just I don't know, I just love being around them. Like
Right, right, right.
I enjoy company so much
Yeah.
and yeah,
But
when they do
I
that.
just want to like I also understand that from instructor perspective like this is not the time that you go after the class, that you're not getting paid for it anymore.
No.
It's just your private time.
Yeah.
And I just want to like just put it out there because people might
Yeah.
not understand that. She's like, oh, maybe that she's still working or she's not.
No, like you said,
It's
you
just you
develop those
doing this.
friendships with those people,
Right.
and that to me
Right.
is that's important. I don't care, money is great, but that's not why we're here doing what we're doing. Like that should not be your number one reason to enjoy why you work. Like for me, I mean, yes, money's great, but when when you really love what you do, you're not really working. So
That's true.
that's I don't know. Yeah, I never really thought about like that's not my time on the clock. I just love being around people.
Well, that's why I'm telling you
Yeah.
this because
Oh, I
that's
appreciate
yeah,
that.
yeah. I was moved by this. I was like, wow, that's really passion in it.
And you see I'm so excited to do it. Like I'm not. It's not like, oh, all right, we're going again. Like
Yeah, I do see it, and
Yeah.
they are like, yeah, we go for more, and they just get their butts kicked
Yeah.
in the class. And,
they still want more. Yeah, it's very
beautiful, and
it's
and you
great.
have great following. Not just this week, I saw like it was like 15, 18, 20 people, whatever that was.
Yeah,
A
the
lot
mornings.
of people
The
came.
mornings are they're packing out. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like this energy, and I like seeing. That's why I love fitness, and I tell it like every episode when I talk to somebody. This is one of not many areas of like careers that people are just truly passionate day after day after day. Like you can hear like for example sometimes I like stop in the deli and there are this like construction worker talking as like, hey, how was your day? And they go like, same shit, different day. Like fitness trainers don't talk like that.
No.
We're like, yeah, I love it, another day of like living my dream.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because I've worked in so many different jobs, and like I've worked at a pizzeria. I worked at in customer service forever, but like it is redundant. Like you go in, and you have to make it your own experience, though. Also, like it's again the connections that you get, but. This is not for me because it's like that's why I don't mind going to your house. I come to the gym. You come to my house. There's a different setting for everything, and
Right.
every day you're learning something new about somebody else.
It is.
Yeah, I don't find it. I think that's why, like you said, like I am not about doing the same thing every day. I need to be doing something different and like keep challenging myself and like
Yeah.
making my mind just go crazy.
I think the way like I like talking to fitness people because we are really wired differently. That's a just different breed of people.
Yeah.
We have all this energy. We cannot sit still. We are like all over the places with our ideas. We want to start new projects. It's just I think that's characterizes a lot of people from our
Yeah.
area, from our field, and that's why it's so cool. Because like one week you can learn something about nutrition, next week you can learn something about the exercise that you didn't see before and what muscles it trains and all that, and the next week you learn something else. It's such a broad spectrum. That's why I call my podcast "Fitness is the Art of Life" because it's everything in it. It's like how to
Yeah.
rest, how to regenerate, how to even when I train, and I think you're gonna appreciate that. Like for me, the stress management huge in the training process because that can really suppress all the other benefits of training.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think that there's so many fields, and I think that the human body is just so amazing. And it's just it's like you can learn something new about it all the time.
Yes.
But yeah, exercise is just one element.
It's just one.
Just one element.
Yeah.
Nutrition is huge. Sleep is huge.
Exactly.
Getting sunlight is huge. Like there are things that you just like don't even realize. Like when people ask me, like, okay, I'm exercising and I'm eating things correctly, but I'm still not losing weight. I'm like, how are you sleeping? Oh, I don't really
Right.
sleep that much. I have a newborn baby, and I'm
Right,
like,
right.
okay, well that's one thing. Like you really do need to get good amounts of
Balance.
sleep. Yeah.
about
How's
like-
your stress level? Oh, I'm fine. And it's like, but then like I dive in, like, what do you mean? Like, what do you do during the day? How are you feeling throughout the day? And it's like, okay, so you are actually more stressed than you're saying, and you take on a lot.
Yeah.
And stress is huge.
It is.
It-
And then talking about that, it's like when trainers ask you these questions, it's not like we are just interested in your life for like bad reasons. That's what we call evaluation of your overall health and fitness.
Yeah.
That's how we gather information to make the process of your training more efficient.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want you to tell us a little bit about that intersection that you found between training and stress relief techniques and actually addressing trauma, because when you were telling me that, I was like, this is super interesting topic.
Yeah. Um, well, to begin, so, uh, I grew up. Um, Both my parents were drug addicts. They were both alcoholics. I was never in a stable home growing up. And I never thought really poorly of my childhood. I never thought like, oh, I have it so hard, you know. I always had food on the table. There was always love, you know. I never felt that way. But it was a lot of pulling back and forth, not realizing like how much trauma there is in that, being in a car where my mother was drunk driving me and all of my cousins getting pulled over, her going to jail. Like I was 6 years old and I'm like trying to
Right.
like I was more aware of things at 6 years old than like my 6 year old would ever be. Like they couldn't even cross the street at 6 years old. And I like,
And good for them.
yeah, good for them, you know? But like you don't realize how much your awareness becomes like on like
Yes,
hyperdrive
yes.
when your parents are
Well, that was
addicts.
your normal at
It was
the
my
time.
normal,
Yes.
100%. So, but yeah, so growing up, I never really thought anything about that. But not until after I had children did I realize, like, those things started to affect me. Like, I was depressed for no reason. Not for no reason, but I had depression. I had high doubts in myself. Like, things that, like, I couldn't figure out, like, what was wrong with me. Like, I was always feeling like I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worth enough, I wasn't anything, and even when I was still pursuing, trying to, make fitness my life at this point, because I didn't always do fitness, I didn't know what I wanted. I had kids young, so I was pulled in all these different directions trying to figure out my life, and then I landed on fitness, which actually came through dance because I love dancing. But anywho, so yeah, just figuring out my own, like seeing my own self, like I'm telling everybody else, you're worth everything, this, and then in myself, I'm crying at night and I'm crying at home, and when I'm alone, I'm sad, and I'm like, this I don't want to feel. And this has gone on for years. Like for years, I was like this. But I listened to a lot of health and wellness podcasts and talking about like managing stress. And I've done breath work and I've done meditation, and there were so many things that I started implementing into my life that has like changed me. But recently, and I will say recently because this was about a month ago now, I stumbled across a pod because it was always in waves. Like there's always
Right.
been waves. And they'll still come, but I know that you manage them differently when you learn these tools to like take care, take care of yourself. But no, so yeah, about a month ago, I discovered this podcast with Jill Miller. I don't know if you know her. She's a doctor. And she talks about breathing and how breath work can really help relieve stress. And she did this one thing, and it like kind of hit me because she did this one thing where she put pressure on like her stomach, and putting that pressure on her stomach, she like finally felt pain for the first time, where she had not felt like some connections in her stomach for a while. And so for me, I don't know why that intrigued me. I don't know why I never felt numb in my stomach, but like I've felt numb. I've always numbed myself, like to feel nothing.
Right,
Like
right.
that was my way out of reality, which is silly, but that's
Well,
what we
it's
do.
not silly. I don't know if you know, but I am now in psychology school
Okay.
for my graduate degree,
Yeah.
and that's not silly. That's just, especially when you're a child in like toxic environment, you learn to suppress your emotions because it's too heavy to bury for a child.
Right.
It's just too much.
Right.
So you suppress it and you numb yourself. So that's not that silly. That's actually very smart survival
It's That's what it
strategy.
is. Survival techniques, right?
Yes.
Um,
It has long lasting effects like traumas and all that, but at the moment it's something really useful.
Yeah. At the moment, right? But
Yes.
you pull that throughout your whole life, and if you continue to do that, it's like, okay, well so it really we're unburying the traumas. That's what we want to do. So like I said, with this ball thing, so I've been doing this ball rolling. So I put this pressure on my stomach. And what it is when it hits your diaphragm is connected to all the nerves from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. They're learning so much more about the diaphragm right now, which I'm very, very curious to keep reading. I'm reading a book, but I'm not done. I'm just taking in knowledge day by day. But anyway, the first time I did it, I put this pressure on my stomach and I cried so much. And it wasn't because the pain, like the physical pain was there. It was painful because, yes, you're putting pressure on your stomach. But I had an emotional release that I had never felt. Like, I hadn't cried like that, yeah, in a long time. And and I've been doing it every day since then. And the first week, I was kind of like this emotional ups and downs. Like, there were days where I was super happy, days that I just was crying for no reason. And now, like, I'm kind of like at this point where I've started meditating again because I had kind of put everything on hold for a while. Like, I just stopped. I don't know what it was, but things were piling up and I just like couldn't find myself. And this kind of just like, I don't know, it just made me feel like such a release. And so I'm like, this is too good to not share with everybody. So every single one of my clients I have been making do this for different reasons. For emotional reasons.
I see the value in it, big value. You know, like I want to tell two things. So one, every once in a while I finish the classes that I teach. I make the whoever came to the class, I tell them to lay down on the mat, close your eyes, and just breathe through diaphragm. And it's not even a lot. It's like 2 minutes of breathing. That's all. Just raise your belly, let it stretch, and release. And every time they are different than when I'm not doing this. They're like, oh wow, it was great class. I feel so relaxed and all that. Even if we did the craziest workout.
Yeah.
The craziest workout. It's the response is like the people have, because actually even like from the psychology background, it resets your nervous system.
Yes. Yep.
So there's value in it, like, which I see from teaching people, but also just somebody might tell, but I don't have trauma. Like, everybody has trauma.
That's the thing, right?
It doesn't have to be that you were like extremely abused as a child or something. Everybody has trauma. That can be something different for every different person.
Exactly.
But we all have traumas.
Yeah. And I think with breathing through that too, it's like, you might not have, like you said, like abusive trauma or anything like that, but your body has been through trauma. Like, if you had a baby, that's traumatic. Like, your body needs to be reset no matter what. So if you just went through like a little job change, like stressfully, you have trauma hidden in your body. Like, like things are all over your body and you store it. There's nowhere else it can go. Like, it needs to be released. So like I said, when I've been helping my clients, it hasn't always been just for an emotional release. Like, people have been through surgeries. If you have scar tissue on your stomach, like rolling through and like helping your organs kind of work it out. It's like a massage for your organs.
For the belly.
So it's not just an emotional release. It's people, okay, I'm having a lot of stress in my life, or I went through
overworked.
Overworked.
A lot of people, when they get into that cycle of and we live in a country where it's like a lot of pressure. We're constantly running, constantly working, rushing somewhere.
Right.
That's too much to the nervous system. To just well-being, it's too much.
Yeah, we have our cortisol levels are constantly on high.
Well, I was taking this one class recently in my school, and professor said one deep breath can change your mood and mindset. He was literally like, everybody sit still, put your hands down, and take a deep breath, very long.
Yeah.
And just try to hold it for as long as you feel comfortable with. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And then very, very slowly let it out.
Yeah.
And it resets
everything.
Resets everything. Just one breath.
And also, breath can also give you energy. So we can also there's different breathing techniques where there are breathing like that, like very slow inhales, exhales, like very deep to come into a more relaxed state. But if you're tired and you're like, I have no energy, doing a hyper breathing also can give you a boost of energy.
That's cool. because breathing is oxygen.
Exactly. So if you
Right.
are putting your body in a state like where you start going, right, like you're like breathing, hyperventilating, you're actually boosting your levels of, I think serotonin. I don't know. I'm going to say the wrong word, so I'm not going to.
But this is really cool topic.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
really
funny. Like if you start breathing like that and you're hyper, your eyes will dilate.
right.
I
Right.
didn't know that, and I'm like, ooh, I want to see somebody do it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this and
Did you
check
hear
my
that
eyes.
theory that that the body and mind, they are connected, but sometimes they misunderstand each other in a way. That, so for example, if you're very stressed and you start breathing calmly, your body is acting as if it was calm.
Yes.
So it calms your mind. They kind of like follow one another, right? So
Yeah.
that would be opposite, because when
Yeah.
you breathe like this
If your
fast,
body's tired.
it's exactly the same way we do in the stressful situation.
Yes.
So it releases all these active ingredients.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we can, if our mind says, okay, we're gonna breathe quick. I need some energy. I need some energy. Right. Like
Yes.
we can trick ourselves,
Yeah.
basically. But really, we give ourselves that energy. It's
But
so
they
interesting.
even say, like, if you're sad and you smile,
Yes.
it reads off your body reaction and it responds as if you were happy.
And you might look like you might feel so stupid while doing it, which makes you laugh even more. Like,
Yes.
because it's the truth. Like if you, what did I just read about? I was just listening to something. Okay, this was really cool. So, negative thoughts, right? So, if you constantly are telling yourself negative thoughts, it's the same thing. You're going to start believing those negative thoughts. And then same thing if you do positive, right? If you speak positively about yourself, you're going to start being more positive, right? Like those are things that happen. There was somebody who did a study, and they put, your words mean a lot, right? So they took 2 bottles of water, they labeled them. One that said love, one that says I'm a fool. Like negative thought, positive thought. I mean,
Right.
this is so interesting to me, and I think it's so
Yeah.
interesting. They froze both bottles. The one that said love, the ice crystals were like gorgeous, beautiful, like the most unique crystals there were. The one that said I was a fool, like turned out like it was like ugly. There was like all over the place. It was just like different. So, which means that your words affect water. They've done this with plants also.
Interesting.
Like singing to plants and how they grow more beautiful and brilliant. Then you think about your body. What's your body made up most of? Water, right? So if we're sending vibrations to our body that were negative, were terrible, were hurtful, what do you think is going to be affected inside of our bodies?
It's sad thing to say, but a lot of people have such a hard time loving themselves, even liking themselves.
It's true.
That's really hard. And well, I think everybody goes through this at times. Like I think I had periods in my life when I didn't appreciate myself, and it's a process. It's almost like learning somebody else. You got to learn, but also it's approaching yourself as if you were. I heard. Do you listen sometimes to Jordan Peterson?
I've listened to
And
him
so
before.
he a lot of times says that approach yourself as if you were helping someone else. A lot of people are good in general. That's how I believe people are. And a lot of people want to help. I do some charity work. So many times I had such a positive responses with somebody I barely know. They want to help. They bring stuff to charity and all that. And we have this response like, oh, I can help you. I like you help you. But when it comes to you, people are like, I have to be tougher on myself. I have to be harsh on myself. So why are you doing this to someone else and
Right.
not to yourself?
Right.
Like it's inconsistent.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's it is a struggle, right? Because we expect more from ourselves, and we are more hard. We're our own worst critic. We're our own.
Yeah.
We are hard
We're
on
trapped
ourselves.
in our own minds.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like you said, it is a process, and we have to be willing to try to love her, because otherwise we're gonna go through life, and it's gonna be hard. And guess at the end of our lives, like, what do we want? What do we want initially at the end of our
Right,
lives?
right.
We just want it to be happy,
You don't
right?
want to have a miserable life. Nobody wants it.
Nobody
Right.
wants that.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we really have to take that time to love ourselves, and I think we have to also learn how to respect each process of that life. Like if you're going through weight loss, and you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm not there yet. It's like, okay, well, I want you to look back at the person that was 50 pounds heavier, right?
Right.
And I want you to look in the mirror and say, thank you for taking that step, you know, like, because that person is the one that decided to change your life. You know, that person's the one that said, this is enough, we're moving forward.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, like there's so many different, like all stages of our life mean something,
Yeah.
you know?
And you know, I know a lot of people also who are, they can do 100 things good. They do one misstep, and all they focus on is the one step.
It's,
And it's
yeah,
like, how about the 99 that you did right? You
right,
know, like do a
right.
little celebration of that.
Yeah,
You
as
know?
there should be, you
Yeah.
know? We are so hard on ourselves. And, yeah, we really need to start taking that time to just, instead of feeding those negative thoughts, we need to just start telling ourselves positive thinking.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're going to have great thoughts all the time. Like, you're not going to be like on high all day, you know? But you do need to start, if you constantly let those negative thoughts come in, like, human beings are programmed to think more negatively than positively.
That's interesting.
We have to change that. Like, we have to change those because we're on guard, you know? We have to be able to change things, you know?
Right.
I don't know. I'm just kind of
I want you to
rambling.
tell me a little more technical about this technique. So, how exactly you press right under the rib cage?
Yeah,
Like,
so
would
with that one,
make a fist or
so it's a soft, squishy ball, right? You lay on your stomach. You lay on the floor,
okay.
and you can do it a couple different ways. But where I've been doing it, I start right underneath my sternum, right? So I start right in the middle here, right underneath my rib cage, and the ball sits there, and you breathe on top of it, and you just take deep breaths in, and then try to make your exhales a little bit longer. So you're kind of shifting around this ball.
And this is soft tissue, so it's gonna like
Yeah.
surround it.
Yeah. And so your diaphragm sits like right underneath your heart. Your lungs sit on top of your diaphragm. And the way that it connects there, it just kind of, you're massaging it. So,
Right.
and then I also move all the way down because if people have scar tissue, is sometimes down lower in the respiratory system. I'm sorry, in the
Digestive,
reproduction
yeah.
sex
Oh, okay.
system for women. But yeah, we start here, and then I'll take 10 breaths, and then slowly move the ball down a little bit. Do it again. Slowly move the ball down a little bit. Do it again.
So it can take a little time, like 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
5-6 minutes. But I tell you, every single person that's tried it is like, I feel great afterwards.
I want to try this.
We should try it. We should go in, and the silver sneakers ball work great. I've done it in my stretch classes with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been life changing. It's kind of, like I said, it's been able to like get me to a place where I feel comfortable meditating again. Like I feel comfortable, just I've been happier. Like I've been like able to think more positively. Like
Right.
because I had that release of emotion, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, exercise is just one element. Like
Yeah, I was just gonna say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So look where it led you, just getting into fitness and becoming a trainer. It's expands to all these areas.
yeah.
And yeah, that's really cool.
And also with nutrition is also like my spot. I love learning about food. I love eating food.
Right.
I love eating good food. I love eating healthy food, and I love learning about it. Like it's so interesting. It really is.
But you know, okay, so we might talk a little bit about nutrition, but I want to tell me about your trainings because
Okay.
your trainings are pretty intense. You do somewhat like Tabata, cardio stuff. At least the stuff that you recently put out on Instagram.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get inspired by it. I saw like you put the challenge, and a lot of members from here they're like, "Oh, we're doing Daria's challenge." So
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're an influencer now.
Honestly, I started doing that. A girlfriend of mine, she challenged me in March to do a run, right? For me to run every day. And the funny thing is, like I said, we always showing up for everybody, right? We're constantly showing up for everybody. This was something that I had to show up for myself. And I was like, oh God, I gotta go for a run every day? Like, I
Right.
hate running. I hate it. But it's like changed my tune on everything. Like, I'm like, okay, so I had to commit to that. It started as self-discipline, and then like it's turned to like self-commitment. Like, okay, like
Yeah.
it's a big change. But yeah, my trainings are, it's different for everybody. My trainings, in class are a lot of, I love like kettlebell workouts. I don't do that in the class too much because there's no kettlebells back there. There's
Right.
only a few. But yeah, I do like hit stuff in the classes. But when I do like personal trainings, it's a lot of functional
Oh yeah.
movements. Um, and then I just love to throw like fun circuits in for people sometimes. Like it's just to change it up because I get bored. I don't love strength training. It's boring to me. Like I hate waiting. I hate doing stuff like that. And I know
Right.
it's important to rest, but I always try to do like a leg and then an upper at the same time. So I'll do leg and then
Right.
rest my legs, do my upper at the same time. So I'm not sitting waiting for my legs to be done.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's why sports have so many different choices. You can do powerlifting, you can do CrossFit, you can do Zumba, you can do all
Yeah.
these things. That's all under the umbrella of activities.
Of course. And I think the biggest thing and the most important thing is find what makes you like to move.
Right, right.
Right? Like it
We ha-
doesn't matter what
we,
it is.
One thing to accept, and then like I tell people that at least this is the bottom line, that you cannot fight with this. We biologically we are animals, and animals are made to move. We have to move.
Yeah.
We just have to move.
We are not made to sit behind a screen for
Just
10 hours.
Don't fight with this. Okay, accept that one. Once you accept this, at least you on that search. Okay, now what I can do? I can do hiking. I can do biking. I can go to the gym. I can go swimming. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got to move.
We have to move.
All the research suggests that people who don't move, they just get sick.
Of course.
Whether it's your heart or bones, a huge problem. Bones, joints,
Yeah, and
back pain.
I feel like I don't hate it. I hate nothing. When no negative thoughts. No, when we say to ourselves, "Oh, I'm too old," like it's like no, you're never too old to start doing some kind of resistance training.
Right.
I think that's one thing, and then another thing is women. I don't want to get bulky. It's like resistance training. If I wanted to be bulky, I'd have to be in here every single day training one specific
Yeah,
muscle. Like you're not going to get bulky by doing squats,
Yeah.
2 to 3 times a week. Like you're going to feel better, but you're not going to get, that's what they're so afraid of. I don't want to get these big arms.
And
I'm
you were
like,
big on nutrition, so if there's no surplus of energy, you're just not gonna build anything.
yeah, no, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. It's really hard to build muscles, by the way.
It is hard. It is hard. You have to get a lot of protein. No, it is, and you have to do. You have to be consistent, and that's always number one. That's why, like, the way I train is I basically am like, let's just get you consistently here for 2 days a week. Like if I start with anybody, they're like, I want to go 5 days a week. I'm like, no. I'm like, start with one.
But it's huge thing. Having commitment is, I think things like discipline. Everybody thinks it's such a tough, strong word, and it is in a way. When you think about it, it's like, oh, discipline. This is like military thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a power really coming from it.
Yeah.
And you really appreciate yourself. I was taking when COVID started, I wanted to do something because there was they locked everything, right? So I didn't work for a while, and I was stuck at home, and I wanted to do something. So I found a tutor of French language,
Ooh.
and I stuck with this for more than 2 years,
Wow.
2 times a week.
Okay.
I was learning French,
That's
and
amazing.
it was actually cool because after those 2 years, I went to Paris, and I was speaking a little bit of French.
Yeah.
So that was 2 years of commitment, but sometime and I was doing this every morning, like very early in the morning before
Yeah.
I went to work.
Okay.
Like it started when there was COVID, so I wasn't working, but eventually work came back.
Yeah.
But I stuck with the same
You still
thing.
did it.
And after a while, I was like so proud of myself that I can do
Yes.
something day and week after week after week after week.
Right.
And even besides the obvious that I was learning something new, just the fact of commitment made me so happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I am capable of doing something.
Yes. Well, you turned it from in the beginning, it was self-discipline,
Right.
right? Like self-discipline. Okay, I'm going to do this every day. And then you change that self-discipline to a commitment. So
Yeah.
self-commitment. Okay, this is non-negotiable. I'm doing this every day. Like, that's awesome. Good for you.
And you know what was also cool for me, because when you were training for a long time, you just used to being on the side that you were pointing and telling people, now we're doing this, now we're doing this. You're a leader basically.
Yeah.
But when I was on the other side, I was a student. I was like, oh, that's how it feels to be. And you just forget these things at times. So it's like, okay, and I appreciated that she prepared this and that was a new element, and that was repetition. And I was like, wow, I appreciate all these things because I forget how to be on the other side.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with me with when I started doing the challenges. Because like you said, you're showing up this, right? You're doing this, you're doing this.
Yeah.
So I would do the classes for this, do that. When I started doing the challenges, I felt like, okay, now I'm being held accountable by somebody else. So it's the same kind of, I mean, I didn't learn a language. I just
Yeah.
ran for a month.
Yeah, but I know what it means. And then also,
Yeah.
it's, I think being a trainer, we are not like super famous trainers, like, I don't know, like somebody who has like 1 million followers or whatever.
Yeah.
But even within the circles that we are, it's like you're a person that people know. They see you, they follow you, they do what you tell them. And that can kind of play on your ego a little bit, like boost your
Yes.
ego.
Yeah.
And I actually, I think Chris Rock said that comedians a lot of times, when they are like become more popular, they are like, everybody tells them, "Oh, you're so funny, you're so great," and it's just messing up with you. You really start thinking that you're amazing.
Right.
But no, we're just
And then your
human beings.
jokes
We're
suck.
just like, yeah. But he said that at some point you don't differentiate that anymore.
Yeah.
Because you just rely on the comment.
Right.
And especially in the social media, somebody says, "Oh, you're amazing, you're so pretty, you're so handsome," whatever, right? But it's just word. Social media is not true a lot of times. It's just
No.
it's such a facade.
It can be such a good tool for connection, but we have, it's something that we have to be very careful with.
Yeah.
That comparison, that, like you said, that validation from an outside source, like if you're not getting as many likes as you want,
Right. But that's why also it's good to be connected to real people, because sometimes they just call you out on your nonsense.
Oh yeah. I love when people call me out. I'm a terrible counter in class, and I was at my
I lose count all the time
All
with
the
my
time.
clients. I tell
All
them
the
like
time.
8, and it's like we are 10 already.
Yeah, I had someone tell me the other day. She goes, I was like, I'm really bad at counting. She's like, well, can you get better at that? Because 8 is a lot less than 10 for me. And I was
Right.
like, okay. But I get so involved in like watching their bodies that I'm
know,
like,
I have the same thing.
I'm like, the numbers just float away. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you hold the number in your head.
I know, it's just so funny. I do
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to do one thing.
Yes.
And that's like what is that, third grade to second grade?
It's the truth.
Count to 10.
I can't. I always mess it up. And as soon as I talk out loud, I'm like, crap, the number's gone. It's just, it floats away.
So I sometimes, even in the classes, okay, we do whatever, 20 of something. And I see they do something wrong, and it's like, correct your posture. And the second I say it, it's gone.
It's gone.
Number is gone.
No, that's why a lot of people start counting for me. And I'm like, okay, where are we at? Where are we at? I don't know. Okay, so I'm not the only one. But I said to myself, I have to stop saying I'm bad at numbers and counting, because now I'm like, I'm just going to make myself worse at this.
Right.
So I'm like, all right.
I just say I'm easily distracted.
Yes, it is true.
And that is true. I was like, I just had the funniest thing. I was just driving with my friend, and I was telling him how I get easily distracted. And as I was saying this, I don't know, there was like bird flying or something. I was like, just the
Just
second
staring.
I was saying, I was just started staring at it,
Yeah.
and I just lost it.
You lost it. It's like, what was I saying? I don't
That
know.
was the validation of my statement.
Yep.
Total validation.
You totally did it.
How did you get into fitness?
How did I get into fitness?
Because
Well,
you said you did multiple jobs before, and
Yeah, I was-
What was that like? Okay, now I want to be a trainer, instructor.
Well, so it kind of happened organically, really. Growing up, I wasn't really into sports. Like I loved to dance. I did cheerleading. I did some gymnastics, which
So you were in the sports.
I was. Cheerleading 100% is a sport. If anybody doesn't know that, like it is
pretty
hard
much
on your
gymnastics.
body.
That's
It is
pretty much gymnastics.
Yeah, and it's very hard on your body. But sadly, like you can only go to college and then you're done. I didn't even go to college, so I did nothing. I'm not. I only did cheer for like 2 years. I was not the greatest student. I was a good student educationally, but I just wasn't there. I just was gone. Anywho.
But that's another thing that's common to people like us, that we have really hard time focusing on studying. That's why
Yeah.
we are trainers. We would like to move.
We like to move. That's it.
Yeah.
So no, yeah. I mean, I always liked being outdoors. I always liked being active. I'm not very super competitive. I like to play a game for fun. I like to win, but I've never been a sore loser with anything like that. But so after my kids really is when I started getting into fitness. So after my second child, I remember going on vacation and I looked in the mirror and I was like, what happened? Like, what happened? And I didn't have a mirror at my house. I didn't have like a full body. So when I
Right.
went and I looked and I was like, and that's not I don't really love that that's where it came from, but it did. Like, I looked at myself and I'm like, where did I go?
But
You know,
look,
like,
you were cheerleader. Cheerleaders are very beautiful always, and it's like you after kids, the body will change,
yeah.
and you're like, where's that cheerleader, right?
Where's the cheerleader? Where's the girl that I used to? I was also young when I had kids, and I did not eat well. I was very heavy throughout both of my pregnancies. So, anyway, so I went back. I finally signed up for the gym. I went back and I wanted to go to classes because I knew I would not be motivated to do it by myself. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I went to classes and I started taking like a Zumba. She called it something different, like dance cardio. She made up her own routine, and I was like, okay, cool. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I did a spin class also. I never went back after that because I was dead. My legs hurt so bad. I was like, I'm not doing this. Anyway, but so I started taking that and a kickboxing class because I like that choreography, that like, you know, the repetition, the movement. I love the beats, right? So I started taking that, and then she noticed that I knew her entire routine. And she was like, I'm going away on vacation. Can you teach my class? And I'm like,
Oh wow.
what? Like, she's like, you know everything. She's like, they know you. You know them. They'll just follow you. And I'm like, okay. Like, sure. So
That's awesome. That's
that's
really
kind
awesome.
of-
It's very organically, like
Yeah.
just your talent kind of was appreciated, and it was like, okay, you fit here. You
Yeah.
just fit here.
So I started teaching her class, taking, you know, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to start making some of my own routines, my own dances, right? So I took it upon, I've always loved dancing. I loved making choreography. I loved doing stuff like that. So I was like, this is kind of perfect. So I started doing it. I remember my nerves were just like on fire. Every time I went into that building, I was like, this is going to be okay. This is going to be okay. Like, just so scared.
Right? Because you were in front of everybody else.
Yeah.
and it's-
So I started with that, and then a friend of mine used to work here, and she's like, one of the instructors had left. Can you fill in this class? So I come here. It's a full body sculpt class. I'm teaching dance cardio, and I walk in the door and I start teaching dance cardio because I don't know full body. I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And people started walking out, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so, you know, it was so scary. I had a few girls stay with me, and I was like, I was so scared. And I go to my
And
friend.
By the way, sorry for interrupting, but
Yeah.
we talked earlier about traumas. Even stuff like that can be a trauma to somebody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
That can be trauma because you reject it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, I remember I had my also moments like that when
When you first start,
yeah.
you're just nervous, you know, and that's okay. It's like stage fright.
yeah.
You
and
know?
What happened next?
So then I told my friend, I said, we have to change the name of this class because I'm not going back in there if it doesn't say dance on the paper.
Good.
But then another instructor left for another full body class.
That was all in this gym.
all here, and
It's
she's
just
like,
just beautiful how this building is starting journey for so many people.
yes, it's so true. But yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I remember what this woman did in this kickboxing class. I was like, I'm gonna do that. So I started doing that. Then I finally got certified to do it. So I got certified in group fitness. So I started teaching the classes there, and then people started asking me if I wanted to do one-on-ones, and I'm like, I'm not certified. And for me, that was like a big thing mentally. I'm not certified.
Right.
I can't do it. But so I got certified in doing that, and so it's just been like I said, like an organic process, like through this whole thing, and I've just kind of evolved, and I've learned so much. I love working with people. Good morning.
Come on. And you are great with people.
Yeah, I just love it. And like I said, in the
7.
and then now the nutrition too, it's like great. But yeah, I love the whole process of it.
Wow.
I really do. But you know,
Daria, we have to be wrapping up.
I know.
I hate to finish it right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use the word hate at this
That's okay.
moment. But thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was
This was a great
Super
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
would do this anytime. I would chat with you any day.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
Someday.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.